Hello and welcome to the Mink Lab. In this video, I'll be going over the proper way to do a lash bath and a tape down on my mannequin. I'm starting with a lash bath. Even on my mannequin, I practice cleaning lashes because in real life, cleaning lashes mean better retention. So first thing first, here's my lash I'm using. Since it's my mannequin, I'm just gonna do one little squirt, a little bit. Because you don't want suds everywhere on your mannequin. So I will get my two spoolies. When I'm cleaning my lashes, I go in a downward. Reason being of going downward is you're wiping all the dirt downward. Cleaning the lashes, you go downward. I stroke down, so I go down, down. A downward motion. I will clean the lashes for at least 2 to 3 minutes. Giving my client the proper lash bath. So I will get my two spoolies. I will get rid of those. Before I put water on my client's eye, I wipe the excess shampoo off. Just because you don't have to just skeet water everywhere. And I use my water to get the rest off. When you're using water, please do not use tap water. Tap water has minerals and other little particles floating around in the water that can get in your client's eye and irritate it. So this right here is in this bottle is distilled water. I would get my client to turn whatever directions I got my paper towel on. So I'm going to get my client to turn to the right. So I'll get them to tilt their head just to get the water to go to the side. I would get my client to do the other the other side. I would get them to tilt. I would let them know that I'm about to put water to their eyes. I would always let you know what you're doing while you're touching them. And I should have said that in the first beginning of the video. But yes, make sure you're letting your client know everything you're doing to them. When you're touching them, if you put water, just let them know what you're doing. For they won't jump, for one. So I'm going to let the water go through. Next, I would get my fan. I would fan for 3 to 5 minutes. With my spoolie, I will brush in an upward motion. So after cleansing, I rinse and dry the lashes. The next step is so important before applying extension. It is the most important thing once you get the lashes dry. The spoolie is to break the lashes up, making sure they get thoroughly dry. By this being my mannequin, y'all, bear with me. We got some water spots. So I think this is dry enough. Next, I press my tape down. Proper placement is key for comfort and making isolation much easier. So, some people just use tape. I use gel paste and tape. So once I get my gel pads off, I always measure my client's eye. Because sometimes the gel pads be too big. I cut the tip off about right there. That right there should be just enough. But this being my mannequin, I'm not going to cut that off. So I'm just explaining to you what I do. I cut like a little piece off of it. And I make me 3 slit. I make me 3 slit. One for the inner corner. Just a little slit. One for the middle. And one for the outer corner. Reason why I'm doing this is because it lays much better with the splits instead of just laying it flat just like this. You have to keep on smoothing it out. Make sure that you get all the air bubbles out when you lay this down. Sometimes this stuff gets stuck. So, you get your client to look up at you. They're going to look up at you. You're going to get the bottom lashes. You're going to make sure you're not covering the bottom lashes up with the gel pad. You're just trying to get them to get to a lay. This is like a barrier for your tweezers to lay on. Some people don't use them, but I like to use it just an extra barrier for up under the client's eye. And it helps to take the tape off much easier. It can slide off. Sometimes the tape hurt, to me. So you do not want the gel pad to cover up the bridge of the nose. You want it kind of on the side. So you will get your client to look up and making sure you just, I give it 2 strokes down just to get that little gel on it to lay your bottom lashes down. And then I lay down at the tip of the bottom of the lashes, not at the waterline. Once I get that smooth, making sure no air bubbles are right there. The reason why you don't want any air bubble because you can probably get, sometimes the gel pad can slide. And that's another reason a lot of people don't use the gel pad because of that. They slide, but I like them. It's on your preference. So I get 2 pieces of tape. Normally I would split my piece of tape in half, but since I didn't have my scissors on hand right beside me, I'm just gonna use it whole. So I would get my client to look back up at me again. I start at the outer corner of the eye, laying in an angle, making this like it's forming an X. So I would get close to the waterline as possible, not letting the bottom lashes show. So you right there at the waterline. Once you get that laying down, you get your client to keep looking up. You already, normally you already have your tape already broken. You get the other piece of tape and you go in another angle, making sure you're not covering the bridge of the nose. You do not want to put the tape on the bridge of the nose. Get in the rest. So say you have a client with a wider eye and you still have some bottom lashes showing right there in the middle. All you would do is get another piece of tape, just a small piece. Tam! Oh, sorry y'all. I thought somebody was coming in on me. So you would get another small piece of tape and you would go right up under there. And cover the rest of the bottom lashes, making sure you're not hitting the waterline. You would do the same thing for the next eye. You would get your client to look back up at you, making sure you're not going from the bridge of the nose. You would stroke your gel pad like once or twice just to lay the bottom lashes down, making sure you don't have any air bubbles, and the gel pad is all smooth to the face. You'll get your 2 pieces of tape. Not too much. Just enough to cover each corner of the eye. You would go from the outer corner of the eye and you would lay down, making sure you're not on the waterline but close enough to cover up all the bottom lashes. You would get your other piece of tape and you would do the exact same thing, forming an X. Making sure you're not going over the bridge of the nose. Another good thing why the tape is so good because you can see the top lashes way much better once you do the tape down. The proper tape down. You would get your extra piece of tape just in case you got a wide eye and cover up the rest. Making sure you're not on the waterline but close enough to cover up all the bottom lashes. Okay. Once that's down, once the lashes are prepped, I start my application. Practicing every step helps me perfect my skills. So therefore, after you do the proper tape down, you get your primer. The primer is basically for if any residue or any dirt left still on the eye, it gets the rest of it off. So that would be my next step. Some people don't prime. I prime all my clients simply just because it just gives me that extra prep. So that's conclude my video with the proper lash, the proper shampoo, and the proper tape down. So in my next video, I'll be doing my extensions. Get prep, beautiful results. Every set starts here. The proper prep.